My name is Melissa. I am an English teacher at Hawaii Literacy's Drop-In Center and on ESL Teacher. I wanted to talk today about how to pull out patterns when you teach. So when you're teaching certain words, if you pull out certain patterns that are found in the words you're teaching, you can teach them better. Examples will help here. So in the book I was teaching today, we were using Oxford Picture Dictionary. On page 31 they had 6-year-old boy and 10-year-old girl. So if you have those words and you're teaching those words, you can take a pattern out from them, okay? So you could have the class do 6-year-old girl, 7-year-old girl, 8-year-old girl, so they know how to make different age, put different ages in. You could have them, you could say to the class, after you say 6-year-old, 7-year-old, and they understand that, you can test them by saying, okay, what's 3? And then your class says, 3-year-old boy. And you say, what about 5? And they say, 5-year-old boy. And you say, what about 10? And they say, 10-year-old boy. And I say, okay, now we're going to do girl, right? And you say, 3. And then they say, 3-year-old girl. And you say, 5-year-old girl, 7-year-old girl. And then maybe you say, I'm going to do woman, right? So you say 50, and they say 50-year-old woman. 30-year-old woman. If you want to be tricky, you could say, okay, I'm going to do a girl or a woman, and then you give them an age, right? So you could say 5, and they have to say 5-year-old girl. But if you give them 25, they have to say 25-year-old woman, all right? So you could try to mix it up like that too to make it more challenging. Other patterns, if you teach how are you, how are you? You could also teach how is he, how is she, how are they. Okay, so you could take one sentence, how are you, and you can show them how you can conjugate the verb and use it to ask how other people are, not just how are you. Now the reason you want to pull these patterns out is because when students learn sentences like how are you, they just memorize the sentence. They do not memorize the other conjugations of the verb and how is he, how is she. For them that is like completely new and doesn't relate at all. Okay? So getting them to get used to patterns and get used to trying patterns when they learn new phrases will help them understand that they can expand the words or the phrases that they use if they want to. So yeah, we have students practice, how are you, and then how is Jamie, or how is Melissa, or how are the students. So they have to practice saying how are you, how are they, how is class, right? Instead of just a person, you can say how. So you can take the question how is, and you can show students how you can use it. You can use how is and how are a lot, right? How are you? How is she? How is class? How's the weather? You can say it for anything. And then once you write down how useful how is and how are is, then the students are going to, wow, I could use that a lot. They're going to know that if they remember how is and how are, they can use it for almost anything. That's another pattern that you can do. Anyway, I can't think of any more off the top of my head, but as long as you figure out certain patterns, it'll help the students practice the words better. Another one I remember, when I was teaching about the body, head, teeth, fingers, arms, legs, I taught the students how to say I have a headache, right? And then you can say I have a stomach ache, I have an earache, and then they can use it. You can use the word ache, right? You can't use it with everything, but you could also teach them a pattern like my head hurts, my arm hurts, my leg hurts, my eye hurts. And then once they realize they can say my something hurts, they'll know how to use those body parts in a sentence. Like, oh, my head hurts, my eyes hurt, my hand hurts, right? That's a really good sentence so that you could use it with all the words. Anyway, I hope that you can find ways to pick out useful patterns in words and teach students how to manipulate the patterns to get different different phrases and words, and also good questions that you can come up with, like how is, how are, or statements like my something hurts, which you can use the same sentence, but you can practice all the vocabulary with, and it's a very useful sentence. So drawing patterns out of the words and making sentences that are useful with the vocabulary is very important. Anyway, this video kind of rambled into two different ideas, but I wanted to get this down for you and get your thoughts on these teaching skills and let us know what you think. And I hope you enjoy using them in your classroom. Have a great day.